Welcome to the Live from South College podcast. I'm your host, Kathleen Stockham. The Live from South College podcast is your source for all South College activity, including new student information, deep dives into our 100 plus programs and concentration, tools of the trade, and even live on location from all of our campuses. Great interviews with faculty, staff, deans, and hear from South College students and alumni in their own words. From certificates all the way to doctoral degrees, catch up with Live from South College for the lighter side of helping your dreams find direction. As part of our ongoing series looking in depth at key programs at one of the fastest growing areas of study at South College, my guest today is really a breath of fresh air. The Associate of Science in Respiratory Therapy is a demanding 2-year program which teaches aspiring respiratory therapists to consult with and assist physicians to diagnose, treat, and manage breathing problems and cardiopulmonary diseases and disorders. I am pleased to welcome Michelle Abreu, the Program Director of Respiratory Care and also our Associate Dean of Academic and Student Services for the Knoxville campus. Hey, Michelle.
Hello. I'm so happy
Yay.
to be here.
Well, I'm happy you're here too. All right. Well, respiratory therapy, affectionately known as RT around the campus, is a core and key program answering the need of many of our surrounding communities by campus. So, Michelle, tell us more about respiratory therapy and why it's so important to the healthcare industry.
So, respiratory therapy is a very innovative field in healthcare. We assist patients with breathing difficulty. And so, as respiratory therapists, the neat thing about our field is we can work with adult patients. We work with pediatrics and children, and we can also work with neonatal patients. So there's a wide range of patients that we can take care of. So I like to tell our students, there are times when we can be at the bedside for our patient's very first breath as they're coming into the world. And then there are other times when we will assist patients with their very last breath. So respiratory is very, very important. And we see a wide range of disease processes in the healthcare setting.
Wow. Yeah, having that span of the entire life cycle, I think, is really, really important. And it's definitely something that you don't think about. I honestly was not aware until I was researching this of how much work is actually done in pediatrics, particularly with babies and toddlers. I actually did not know that. There is quite a demand for this role out there. So, why do you think that is?
Well, as our patient population, our patients are surviving a lot longer. And so with that comes a greater need for patient care surrounding breathing. I also think that there's a high demand for respiratory because we have new things that are out there like vape pens and things like that that are changing our patients' lungs and their ability to breathe appropriately. So definitely a field that there is a big need for. Our folks that have gone into respiratory, and then COVID-19 happened, and respiratory therapists were at the front line of COVID-19 and treating those patients and helping discover new ways to help patients breathe as they were trying to heal from the virus.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I guess that's really where it came to the forefront for most people is, you're hearing about ventilators and you're hearing about challenges during the COVID era regarding patients of all ages that were, having problems and struggling to breathe and a lot of those things. That's really, really interesting. So in your opinion, who is the ideal student for the RT program? What ingredients do you think that student needs to be considered for the program?
Yeah, so we like our students to be very innovative. We are in a fast-paced environment where patients, vital signs can change very, very quickly. And so we want students that can think on their feet. We want students that are collaborative because we work with nursing and physician assistants and physicians and all spans of healthcare employees. So in order to collaborate and give your best care to your patient, you have to be able to work as a team. So that's really important for us. We want students that are compassionate, students that are dependable, because we have to show up for our hospital shifts, or some of our patients might not get seen that day. So it's very, very important to be dependable. We also want students that have a love for continued learning, because in this field, healthcare, it's a fast-paced environment. We've got new machines that come out, new treatments, new medications that we use. So we like our students to love learning, because they're going to continue to learn even when they graduate and become licensed and registered in respiratory therapy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I would also assume that students come to this role because of experiences maybe that they've had in their personal life with a family member or a loved one. And again, doing some research ahead of this interview, I found a lot of those stories where, graduates have said that they were obviously attracted to the role because of, things that have happened in their family or things in front of them or someone that has had an issue. So it brings me to another question. With the renewed attention for more, quote, healthy and organic means of self care, some young adults out there are turning towards more so called oxygen bars. I've read a lot about this and oxygen therapy, and they claim it's superior to medical care in some forms. What do you think about that as an RT professional?
So this is actually a really interesting topic as well. With oxygen bars, as a respiratory therapist, I would say that the most important thing to do would be always consult your physician before the use of anything that you perceive as medical care. Now, for me, I view these oxygen bars as more of a holistic approach. With oxygen bars, they actually do not provide medical grade oxygen. So when you are given medical grade oxygen in the hospital, you're given 99% plus. So 100% is our highest level. Most oxygen bars, they can only provide a 40% of, oxygen to the patient. Now they do, it is used for stress relief, or people that have cluster headaches, things like that. Some people say that it really does help, and I think if you ask your physician and they say it's something, if it helps, then absolutely. I'm all about different holistic things, but I would caution, there are certain patients with disease processes like emphysema, and they should not have additional oxygen because it can actually hurt their lungs. So, there are some safety concerns that I see with these different places, and my advice would be always consult your physician.
Yeah, that's that's probably the best advice before you do anything, before you go outside, check in. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
But it makes a lot of sense. I've actually seen these places, and I've seen people that I'm connected to on social media. They swear by it. It always makes me a little nervous, when you're going into an environment and you're putting something in your body. Your point about vaping earlier, it's kind of similar, but going in an opposite direction. You're putting and ingesting something through your lungs, through your body that is not natural to the body, and it's always kind of given some concern, but absolutely consult your doctor. Always good advice. So what things have you seen in your career that confirmed your dedication to RT? Was it recovery of a patient or anything like that that sort of drove you in this direction?
So for me, which my background in the funny story, my mom and my aunt were respiratory therapists.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, that's how I learned about the profession. And that's, you were talking previously when you were researching, you were seeing all the stories. So the biggest thing with respiratory is it's not a well-known profession. And so we tell our students, scream it from the rooftops when you're out there. The need is great. The jobs are there. They're even hiring our students when they're a quarter in as respiratory interns. So our students are working in the field as they're learning, which is amazing. But that brings me back to how I kind of got here. Is my mom and my aunt were respiratory therapists. So that's how I knew. I came right out of high school, got a 2-year degree, full benefits, And then I was able to, start my family, and I continued my education from there. So I did a bachelor's online, master's online, and now I am halfway through my doctorate. So that's
Oh,
what, kind of the roadmap for me. But what makes me excited about respiratory and why I'm so dedicated to respiratory, for me, it's the students that come back and the students that say, you changed my life and I was able to touch people in the community, and my family dynamics have changed because now I have a profession. And
yeah.
so as an educator, for me, I love bedside patient care and I loved taking care of patients and all those stories. But as an educator, I know that the knowledge that I'm helping my students gain, they can touch so many more lives in the community.
Mhm.
And that is the big key for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so funny. Everybody that I've interviewed so far for the podcast, it's always the mom. There's always like, well, my mom did this. Well, my grandmother was that. With what? And I'm so fascinated by the stories that everyone has, yours included, of what leads people to their career and their passion and what they do. And I'm really excited for you. So Dr. Abreu is loading. That's fabulous. How hard has your doctoral degree been so far?
It's not too bad. I'm doing the CBE higher education.
Ah, nice.
So yeah, so far it hasn't been too bad. Learning a lot, with assignments, and I've been able to kind of complete at my pace, and it's been really, really nice.
So you're holding down, obviously, an incredibly busy kind of parallel track professionally, as you're the program director for this awesome program, but now you're also the associate dean of student services and academics for now. And now you're also getting your doctoral degree through our CBE platform. Shameless plug for our CBE platform, including the Doctor of Education, which is the program that she's in right now. So shameless plug for that. That's awesome. But my goodness, that's a lot. So, why South College? How did you end up here?
So this is actually an amazing story. Right before COVID, my husband and I purchased an investment property, and I grew up visiting Campbell County,
Mhm.
North Lake. And so we purchased this investment property and the world shut down. So it was a full gut and rework. We reworked it while we were both sent home for
Yeah.
for working from home for COVID.
I think that was a theme for a lot of people.
Right, right. And he kept just saying, "Hey, I want to go south. I want to go south. I want to go south." And I was working as a program director at Northern Kentucky University at the time,
Mhm.
and I got an email about South College wanting to start the respiratory program. And I went home and kind of, I told my husband about it, and he goes, "Apply. I want you to apply right now." And I'm like, "Really? I like my job. Nope, I want to go south. I want to go south." So,
Clairvoyant, that one.
yes, yes. So I interviewed and, loved everybody that I spoke to. And the biggest driver for me was the innovation here,
Mhm.
and that I could be part of building a program. And this program was going to launch at 5 different campuses. And now we're even looking at more campuses. So for me, being able to write curriculum, being able to be on the ground of helping these other programs with accreditation and getting up and started, revamping. We were the first to launch here in Knoxville. So as we've been teaching these classes, the notes that we're able to take and better the courses, make those tweaks that you have to when you first start teaching, so that when the other campuses go live, it's a little bit more streamlined and easier
Mhm.
for those faculty members. We're kind of working the bugs out. So it's been amazing. The people here are just so knowledgeable and
Mhm.
helpful and kind. That's the biggest thing. And everybody is supportive, and they want what's best for the program and the student. And so we're very student centered, and that that was one of my main priorities in, making the move and coming to a new location, just that student-centered approach.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And your story is very similar to a lot of people, including myself, actually. Came in, toured, and looked around, and I was just blown away at the incredible equipment, the incredible classrooms, and as I always say, no expense spared. It is literally the best of the best equipment and everything. So that's very much on point with everyone else that I've talked to. So for anyone who is thinking about RT, or maybe they're not sure, can they come and take a tour, see labs or classrooms for respiratory therapy?
Absolutely. We do tours all the time, and we work very closely with the student success advisors and admissions. And we tell them, hey, if you have a student that even has a hint of interest, please contact the respiratory faculty. And our students love to talk to potential students about respiratory and what the program's like. So anyone who is interested, we would love to take you on a lab tour and show you our new, wonderful, beautiful space with all of the new equipment that we've put in for students. And we would love to talk to you about respiratory.
Yay. All right. Well, that sounds good. All right. So when they get through the program, how hard is the credentialing exam for the National Board of Respiratory Care? How hard is that test?
So I would say once they get to graduation with us, we prepare them so well. They actually have to take a mock board and pass that mock board right before graduation. The other thing that we do is there is a review seminar that we have our students go through, and we pay for our students to go through that review seminar, and it is not cheap. But what that seminar does is it gives them sample exam questions and it gives them sample case studies. And so I would say, once our students graduate, the exam, it's not easy, but they have all of the information that they need to pass it with their high cut score and become registered.
Yeah, well prepared. That makes total sense. All right, that's good to know. All right, so we'll get to you. What kind of student were you in school?
Oh boy. I was can I say anal retentive, straight A student. I wanted to know everything about everything and why. And so I think, that's probably the reason that I love education, because in my academic world, those minute details mattered for me. I was a very visual, hands-on learner, and respiratory is so great with hands-on learning because we will teach you in the classroom, but then you perform what we teach you in the classroom in a lab setting. Once you pass it in the lab setting, then you go and work with patients at the bedside. And so, for me as a student, I wanted to know everything about everything. And I feel like I'm still a little bit like that as an adult.
I love it. Well, that's awesome. Well, this certainly explains why RT is such a popular program and why there is such a demand in healthcare for these graduates. If you have given thought to becoming a respiratory therapist or an RT, make sure you check out south.edu to see our 2-year RT program in Asheville, Atlanta, Knoxville, Orlando, and Pittsburgh campuses. I want to thank Michelle for being my guest today.
Thank you.
Oh, this was awesome. I actually learned a lot, and I had a lot of fun researching this topic. Well, coming up after the break, you are putting me on the hot seat. Yes, I am answering your questions. I'm going to go turn on the air conditioning right now. Stick around. We'll be right back.
When you start your new career path at South College, you'll join students from different walks of life at varying stages in their lives. Many students are going back to school to finish degrees, while others are pursuing elevated education that will help them improve their potential in their current roles or for chasing a new direction. South College offers over 100 programs and concentrations with specialized focus on associate, bachelor's, master's, educational specialist. and doctoral degrees in healthcare, business, technology, education, and legal studies. We are regularly developing new academic programs based on local, regional, and national trends. Each curriculum is designed to promote development of knowledge and skills in the associated discipline as we challenge and support our students. South College is committed to providing intellectual, social, and professional development to a diverse student body. With locations in Knoxville, Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Asheville, North Carolina, Orlando, Florida, Indianapolis, Indiana, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Dallas, Texas, and Marietta, Georgia, as well as programs delivered through Competency-Based Education, or CBE, and online. We're here with you every step of the way, starting with the admissions process. To find out more, visit South College at south.edu. South College, where dreams find direction.
Welcome back. Well, it was bound to happen. Each week, I ask you to email your feedback and questions to southcollegepodcast@south.edu. In the first few months of the podcast, the questions have really piled up. So today, I'm going to be answering some of your frequently asked questions. First question, when did South College get a podcast? I went to school there and didn't realize we even had a podcast. Well, this broadcast began in November of 2024, so as of this recording, it's only been a few months. We have had a blast bringing you info from all of our campuses and a lot of in-depth stories about all of our programs, and we've had a few laughs too. Next question. I listen to your podcast on Spotify, and while I don't need to go to school, I think I want to work there. How do I apply for a job? Well, that's easy. Go to south.edu and scroll all the way down to the bottom in the footer under Resources and click Careers at South College. Open up the link powered by Paylocity and then locate jobs open by campus and by specialty, whether it's an academic role or a staff or corporate support role. We are always on the lookout for talent across the institution. Next question. I started the ASN program in Orlando. Can I be on the podcast? Well, you're in luck. I will actually be at our Orlando campus in early May. And yes, I do plan to interview a lot of Orlando students. So be on the lookout for more information at your campus about that. I'll be looking for you and cannot wait to meet you. Next question. Do you have social media accounts? Where can I follow you? We sure do. South College maintains a large presence on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Simply type in South College on all platforms, and you should be able to find us. In addition, our physician assistant, DPT, pharmacy, and OTD programs all have a by-campus presence as well. So if you want to catch up with the PA students in Nashville, you can do that. Next question. Where can I find the cost of your programs? Well, that's another easy question. Every program page has a link about halfway down each page that says tuition and fees. And the link takes you right to the tuition page where you can see the cost per credit hour and by program and by campus. Don't forget, our online programs have their own link, which you can see in the same place. If you aren't sure, just type in tuition in the search bar. Oh boy. Okay, this next question is for me. Here we go. Who are you and why are you hosting a podcast for a college when you aren't even a college student? Well, if you can hear age, well, you're right. I'm not a college student, but I was one 2 different times many, many moons ago. But as a side note, keep in mind that South College has students of all ages and all walks of life. That's what makes it great. As for me, I'm the Chief Marketing Officer behind the microphone, and the Live from South College podcast is a production from South College Marketing. I really wanted to be a meteorologist, but wound up in the online business instead a long time ago. So rather than telling you the forecast, I'm helping your dreams find direction and, well, reading your email. Thanks for your questions. And oh, yes, there are many more, and we'll get to those another time. With 10 campuses in 7 states, plus online and CBE, there's a pathway for you at South College. Hope you enjoyed this latest episode of Live from South College. Thanks for joining me. If you love it, give us some stars. And of course, you can always send us feedback by emailing us at southcollegepodcast@south.edu. And yes, I do read all of them. Have an awesome day and let your dreams find direction. See you next time.